Mami, you made a permanent home in my head. You moving like a goddess, come my way, my way, my way. Your hips on the move, only a real one can do what you do. I caught a body, but you was the shooter. Damn, shot me down one time, now you wanna hug me down long time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And we are back to discuss 20s. This week, we are talking about episode 9 of season 2, and it is titled Everything I Wanted. So if you hang tight, we'll be right back with you. We are back. Like I said, we are talking 20s. Wow, this week's episode, I am so over Marie. What is going on with this girl?
She's somebody that can't be alone.
Clearly. I mean, from the opening scene, we see her trying on her wedding dress, or her would-be wedding dress. And Chuck walks in, and it looks like, we were right about them not making it to the altar.
What'd I say? Splitsville.
Yeah, I mean, because it seems like they both finally came to the consensus that things were not going to be heading in that direction, that they were probably better off separate, living their own lives, although they clearly have a lot of love for each other. They just decided that, we're going to stop pleasing everybody else and we're going to do what we want to do. So, and I wasn't sure what they meant by that at first. I was like, so does that mean they're just going to call off the wedding and continue to date, or are they really going to split? But it seems as though they decided to split.
They did. She said they broke up. And I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, they are in two different places right now. And so I could see them being good friends. And she said she'll always love Chuck. And it was touching too, because you can see a little tear come down his eye, how emotional he was. And they had their what would have been their first dance at the wedding.
This was like the most amicable breakup I've ever seen. So at least they're still on good terms.
And I think that's really the heartbreak of it all, because for some reason I could see that they really do genuinely love one another.
They do.
And it's just sad that those outside circumstances have led them to this path of, breaking up. Mm-hmm. But as you said, I do think that it was a wise decision, since they both, are kind of conflicted with their current status.
Mm-hmm. I think those are the easy breakups, when it kind of dies a natural death and no one is really to blame, and that way they can walk away not harming each other and still able to maintain some kind of friendship. Mm-hmm. But that's because they both realize that there's nothing else that's going to come. That the relationship lived its natural life. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
It can also be rather haunting too, because you marry someone else and then that marriage starts to go south, and then you're thinking all the time, hey, what would it have been like had I married Marie or Chuck? So it can be haunting, but I do agree it's probably best for them.
Yeah, because first of all, I mean, he needs to still figure out himself, his sexuality, his identity. Mm-hmm. And it would have been a mistake for her to get into the marriage and then he decide, well, I'm not actually bisexual, I'm a gay man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So where would that leave Marie? I mean,
she kind of expressed that too. She was like, I don't really know what it would be like. I can't, in my mind, I'm thinking, as a woman, I can't offer you the same things a man can. So how can I live up to that?
Exactly.
And it's difficult. It seems like even though you're having these questions of your sexuality, if you're offering to get married to somebody and be exclusive to them, meaning you're not having like any type of open marriage, then it seems like you have negated your bisexuality and you've made your choice that you want to be with a woman. So I don't think that he was willing to accept that, you know, responsibility of living up to that, because he's still so unsure.
Right.
You know, no, I was just gonna say, and you know, that's an issue, but she also wasn't happy with him.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Exactly. She wasn't happy with him because she was thinking about Quintrell, fantasizing about Quintrell. They weren't compatible sexually, it seems.
Right.
Yeah. She wanted more. And I mean, look at what happened last week or a couple weeks ago with the boss.
She seemed like she felt guilty for doing that too. But I was ticked off with Marie when she went and had the conversation with the boss, Zach, finally, and addressed, you know, what had happened. And she seemed like once she told him that she had broke it off with Chuck, she really was expecting him to like run into her arms and like fall all over her. And the fact that he didn't, she was like, why am I not getting the response I want?
Yeah,
right.
I couldn't understand what she was coming with because, you know, she told Zach that they had broken up and he said, oh, wow, I'm sorry. And then she started getting this weird attitude as if she was, and then she even said she kind of expected more from him. I mean, what did she expect him to say? She kind of, you know, shrugged him off that first meeting right after sex, and then they had sex, and then she breaks open with this "we broke up" part, but then seemingly wanting more from him. I was trying to read her tea leaves, but I just couldn't make out what she was after.
Yeah. On the one hand, it seemed like she didn't want him to think that he was the reason they broke up. It was like, you're not the reason. But I think she also wanted a different kind of reaction, because I think that's one thing to not say, okay, I think this is going to be an office romance, but I think maybe she was having some regret by feeling like he treated her like a one-night stand too. That could be awkward for the office too. So I don't know. Maybe she hasn't sorted out her feelings.
Yeah, because she
thought she was gonna have more options.
Yeah, she treated him like a one-night stand. I mean, right after.
Exactly.
You know, it was
she did.
One and done. I'm out.
Because he did say, do we need to have a conversation? And she was like, she was real standoffish. And then now she's looking like she butt hurt because he didn't have more to say.
And that's why I was like, what is up with her? Because I'm like, you're not entitled to this man. Y'all don't have anything going on. So he gave the best possible response. He was very respectful. He said, I respect you. I have a lot of, you know, respect for you as a woman in this industry, in the office. And I'm like, he gave the best response possible. He wasn't at all disrespectful. And the fact that he wasn't fawning over you and like relieved that you had broke it off, like it seemed like she wanted him to like fall into her arms and say, oh, well, now we can do our thing together or something like that. I'm like, what?
And he also said, I don't want it to be awkward. Right. So he was making it clear about the office that he didn't want it to be weird.
It's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. That's all.
But, and then, you know, later in the episode, once Mia showed her the tweet from Quintrell that he is having a baby, she seemed so shocked, like she was entitled to him too. Like, girl, all your rebounds are falling apart. And she seemed to question her decision now. Then she asked me,
did. She was like, should I go back to Chuck? And I was like, really? I said, that told me a lot. I mean, it let me know that
he's an option. She's treating him like an option.
Well, it told me that she's somebody that doesn't want to be, that can't be alone either. Like maybe she feels like at this stage in her life that she has to have a man because she's been with Chuck for so long. She probably is like, okay, you know, I feel like she feels like she has to have a man. And when she talked about going back to Chuck, like, what? Why would you go back to Chuck?
Right.
Just so you can say you have a man?
But you know, that besides that, I think there is some security in having somebody who's always there for you.
Right.
And I think that's what she was accustomed to. And then she realized, I didn't just end the relationship, that other part of it, that always has someone in your corner.
And I get that.
And I'll piggyback on that, just taking a step or two back. Suppose Chuck hadn't come out and said to her, you know, what his sexual reality is. would she have married him knowing that she didn't care too much for him sexually, that she was, having at least mental experiences for some other guy? I mean,
she was prepared to do it.
yeah,
She
and
did.
so what does that say about her? Let alone Chuck, but what does that really say about her? And then
That
when
she
we
I
go
cared.
can
back
really
to
chalk it up to is thinking like when you're in your 20s, title of the show, and basically living that experience of being in your 20s, you kind of are coming into your own and you starting to understand what you'll tolerate and what you won't. And it seems like she's still in a phase where she's figuring herself out and what her limits are, what her boundaries are. And so maybe she's tolerant of more right now than she probably would be if she was a little bit older and like more set in her individuality, who she's going to be. And so I just think about that, like finding yourself in your 20s and trying to understand your limits. It seems like she's not all the way there. Maybe that's why she's willing to tolerate some of the things that are uncomfortable to her.
I think acceptance means a lot to her too, because especially like in your 20s, like you said, you're still trying to find yourself and just wanting to be accepted by, peers, the parents, Chuck's parents, just the world, just having this perception like she has the great job and
Yes.
she seems to have it all together and then have the great partner. So I think a lot of that has a lot to do with it.
So would you say she's phony?
Fickle.
I wouldn't call her phony. I think that she's still trying to figure it out. Like some people are really impressionable and they want people to accept them. They want to have a certain image. Like maybe she has a checklist. Like, well, they talked about it. She and Chuck had the checklist. Like, have the great finish college, great job, be married with kids, the white picket fence. There's a lot of people that have those type of ideals, and I think that's what she had in mind. And sometimes, I mean, what's that saying about if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Oh yeah.
Because then life happens.
Yeah, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
We can go to church.
I agree.
But
Mhm.
but look at Nia. Now Nia, on the other hand, who
she's free though. That's what I like about Nia.
But and she checked her spirituality because she was saying, when they said, well, you got two men, and she was like, well, I'm not going to do X until I know what I'm doing with Y. And so she was really, and I had to give it to her for that, because she did check her spirituality.
It seems like she has more self-awareness and understanding who she is and things like that, because I think that spirituality and the yoga and all of that, her lifestyle helps her to be more mindful of herself. And so I think that helps her navigate life better too, because she seems to really think things through in advance. And I wouldn't say analyze the people she's dealing with, but at least try to understand what she's getting herself into before it happens. She did that with Tristan. She kind of really understands like what he's about. But then on the side with Ben, she kind of recognizes that it's really a career opportunity more than it is a romance.
Speaking of Ben, I think he gets the hands this week.
For throwing a tantrum?
Acting like a 5-year-old because of that wretched movie of his. And, he doesn't even have a script. And he's demanding that this thing, get done. And now on the one, and then, later on he wants to quit. That's fine. I understand you want to do your own thing. You want to see where you land. I get that. But that tantrum that he had with Zach, I thought was way off course. And not to mention bringing race into a situation where I didn't think there was any racial slurs or any racial epithets thrown at him about his movie. It was just a bad movie.
And he was tripping. Go ahead.
No, I don't think it was the epithets. I think it's the reality that when you work in an environment, there are other people who have to prove less to get more.
Well,
I think we see that. We can look at the landscape of film and TV, and we see that. Now, he was wrong for throwing a tantrum, but I do think he had a good argument. And maybe he stands for those rebels in Hollywood who recognized what their value was and knew what they bring to the table, and always know what the audience wants, that the audience wants more, and that you could sell a movie like that. You know, you can have a happy movie. We want to see that just like we want to see anything else.
No, but no script. I mean, no script. And he's trying to, you know, he's trying to bring out an act.
But it's a pitch.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not in that situation, or, you know, in the writer's room or any of that, to know whether white folks can get away with making a movie with no script. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so if you know,
check for it.
Let me check
for an idea.
Okay, let me check myself then, because
that's what I'm saying. You know, maybe he was wrong for the temper tantrum, but I felt Ben, to be honest. I felt him stepping out on faith and all of that, because he's believing in himself. And I was like, I said, all right, Ben, I'm here for that.
That's the only thing I would. Go ahead and finish.
Well,
no, I was just saying, I felt that. He was like, I'll see you in a year and stuff. And I bet you, I would put money on it that Ben is going to be successful.
I agree. And I think if he had left it at that, that would have been perfect, you know, because like you said, when he came back and said, hey, I quit, I want to go out and do my own thing, I felt him too. You know, shoot, I said on many occasions, I was younger. You know,
the only thing I would say about Ben is the way he delivered it. You know, it's not what he said, it's how it was done. And I would say in that industry, it's a very tight-knit industry. It's small and everybody knows everybody. And chances are you're going to revisit some people along the way. So just be cautious of burning those bridges.
Burning bridges. Mm-hmm. You're right about that. I agree with that. But I feel like it was probably building. And that's probably why it came out that way. Because you see, he didn't even go to the festival. He was supposed to go to the festival, not Zach. Mm-hmm. And he blew it off. He was like, no, he said, they don't know, they don't understand my worth, they won't make my movie, but you know, so I feel like this was something that was probably building and coming.
I've had those experiences when you're someplace and you know you have nothing left to give and you don't want to take anything from them, you know.
I felt like that too.
Those manners and stuff that you show up working, that decorum, it goes out the door, because at that point you just don't care.
You're just done. You're just done. And I felt like that too.
I feel like that, but I won't even mention it.
Right. That's what I said. So that's why I kind of understood, Ben.
I understand it.
It's done.
Okay.
So I take him off the hands list then. So I guess he doesn't go on the hands list this week.
I mean,
I've been in that situation with the letter written, just waiting to sign it, waiting for that moment. I just can't take enough, and then I sign it. You know, like I'm out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so, Ben, I think he kind of was justified. Just had a bad delivery. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about Hattie, because you know Hattie seems to be dealing with her situation with Drew. I mean, he's seemingly helping her out. He said her next edit was better. So that relationship seems to be working out for now. But your girl Alicia is still stirring up trouble. I mean, inviting Hattie to her event to go attend as a +1. And she even kind of, you know, insinuated that Hattie was playing hard to get. And
I told you.
I mean, Hattie's distracted big time.
But you got but I gotta blame Hattie. Okay, because Hattie.
We're blaming Hattie too.
I mean, I'm saying,
what did I say last week?
Hattie got a ride or die with her. That's a ride or die chick Hattie got. And
she does.
And she's fooling with this whoever, whatever.
But if you're not there, like the thing is, what did I say last week? I was like, she's not gonna be faithful. And it goes back to what we were talking about with people who are not the one. Now Adina is dope.
Yes.
And she would be dope for anybody.
Yeah.
But is she Hattie's one? You know, and that's what I'm saying. You gotta feel that. That's what I'm saying, you know, the same way that Marie and Chuck didn't work out and everything. Like Hattie, I think she is feeling like there's still something missing for her to even still kind of entertain.
I think so, but I think there's a complication there, because I don't know if she feels that if she somehow shuns Alicia, is that going to affect her relationship with the new manager, the new agent. So I wonder, is there some of that there too? Because, you know, she was gracious enough to make that introduction to help her get signed. And so I think she's trying to tread carefully with that relationship. She doesn't want to burn that bridge either. So I think that's kind of why she's toying with it.
Yeah, but I think you still have to set some boundaries with people, especially if it's a professional relationship. Like, you should not be texting me late at night.
Right.
I can understand you inviting me to events, but then, like you mentioned last week, Tiffany, with the sexual innuendos and things like that, you gotta chill.
And
she saw Hattie.
You're playing hard to get. I mean, hard to get what? I mean, I just think Hattie, and it's sad because she pours so much into Adia that I'm a little worried that if they do break up, that's gonna crush her.
Yeah, I just hope that it is not a situation where, you never know what you had until it's gone.
Well, that's probably it. Because, she's a true ride or die. So, I mean, if you ever needed somebody in your corner, you want somebody like that.
You would. Adina is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she even kind of helped Hattie with the situation with her dad, because we see, she had mentioned previously in the season that her dad was a comic. So Darnell Rollins is on the show as her dad, and he's been making his rounds in the acting world. Shout out to him.
Yes, he had. We just saw him in BMF.
Yes. So he is coming back as her father, who is clearly an absentee dad. He hasn't seen her in 10 years. And I was surprised that once they linked up again, that there wasn't a little more animosity from her end, because it seemed like she was just like so lax about seeing him. And maybe she's just become kind of numb, in that sense, to him and his antics being in and out her life. But I would be like, 10 years, why now? She didn't even seem to question him. So that must be on his track record to be in and out.
Mm-hmm.
It's still sad to see, and I thought she was a little hard on him, not wanting to hear him out. She just automatically thought he was there for,
money.
I thought he was too.
Well, that's what mom had planted in her head. She said, "Don't give him no money" a million times.
And then when he made the joke about, well, tell your manager, and I was like, for a minute there, I did think
sounds opportunistic.
It did sound like it. At first.
Yeah, but Hattie can't help but be funny because she's got her dad and her mom. So she can't help but be funny. But I thought it might have been, I would have liked to have seen a little more warmth come from her when he realized, when he said, "Hey, I'd like you to check out my show." And she was like, "Yeah, I'll try to make it." And we all know people who try to do something tend not to do it. And so
usually if a child is given that kind of response to a parent,
who's been gone for 10 years,
it's justified. So
that's just right. You're not gonna, she probably was really guarded, like, what do you want now? And then you just pop in and out. That's damaging for a child. Even when they grow up, that's daddy issues, abandonment issues, all of that.
And particularly daughters and fathers.
That's what I say. Most daughters, kids, period, want their fathers in their lives, but daughters especially want their daddies. I mean, because daddies are usually the models of how you treat your partners.
And go ahead, LaWanda.
I was just gonna say she treated him like a dude on the street because that's what he is to her.
That's what he is
sad,
right
but,
now.
And he being gone that long, they would have to do a lot of building to reestablish that relationship.
Yeah, and I'm of the mindset that if you want better, you got to do better.
Yeah.
Well, it was, of my opinion, that's what it was he was trying to do. Now, I don't know.
I think he was trying.
Yeah, I don't know.
But at the same time, you got to recognize the child's feelings if you haven't been there.
No, I agree. And I think, he tried, once he realized that he wasn't getting anywhere with her, he's like, "Okay, well, it's been good to see you." And she got up and, he then said, "Well, hey, I'd like you to come see my show." So I believe he may be trying. I hope he is. I hope that's what we see.
Yeah, I think he is. I think that was a good gesture, him asking her to come to his show and things like that. So I did appreciate that he was extending the olive branch.
Yeah, and it seemed to mean a lot to Adina that, Hattie invited her to meet her father.
Yeah.
That's a big step.
And that's what I mean with Hattie. She's pouring it all in. And Adina is just accepting it and loving it, but I'm just not sure if Hattie is ready for that solidified relationship. I'm just not sure if she's ready for that right now.
She's trying, but I don't think so.
It's okay. you know, but I think like we've been saying with the others, you know, you really have to check yourself and define your needs and wants before you wind up hurting somebody, you know, permanently.
True,
Yeah.
true.
And so we're winding down in this season. Next week is the finale.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to figure out what to expect. It seems, well, in my mind, I'm expecting an Ida B appearance.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I'm definitely
suspect that.
expecting to see her.
Her manipulative self.
For sure.
I'm gonna go left, and I'm gonna say that Hattie meets up with, what's her name?
Alicia.
Alicia. I think I'll meet up with Alicia, and I think Alicia's gonna try a move or two, and Hattie's gonna correct her.
Okay.
That's not a bad prediction.
We didn't talk about Nia's sister.
Right. We definitely need to talk about Nia's sister.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Because didn't we know, like, she came there, like she was there to look out for Nia, but she had issues, and I figured that because the way she talked about there was no no such thing as a soulmate and this, that, and the other, and needing a partner. And I was like, a lot of what she said was correct, but at the same time, it sounded like a loveless marriage. Like,
and what married person just picks up and pops up at your door unexpectedly?
Yeah,
It's got to be trouble.
Says, oh, I'm here to help you and stuff, and then with no deadline of when she's going back home. So we knew that was suspect.
But I was a little confused in the sense that, okay, so you all have been trying to have a kid. He has a low sperm count, which actually is going to do something with his head because he's a man. And you pack up and you leave to stay with your sister. I didn't see, or I couldn't understand the correlation with leaving at a pivotal time as that, rather than staying and trying to work something out, because, you know, I'm sure he's hurting too if he realizes that it's because of him that he can't have a child. So it just didn't quite register to me why she would up and leave for days because of what we know so far.
It must be pretty bad, because she said she had offered the option of doing an adoption, and so that was the alternative that she offered, but he wasn't really down with that idea. And so the only thing I can think of is that between the issues they're having with their sex life and their fertility issues, the thought of, you know, trying to find a solution and him shooting you down, and he's probably being cold or giving some attitude. I can imagine, like you said, he's probably hurt or doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that it's hurting him, and it's probably lashing out on her in some type of way, which is probably creating an argument at home. And so before things continue to escalate, sometimes you just gotta walk away from the situation for a second to clear your mind, let the emotions die down, and then revisit the conversation again.
And I hope it's that, because like I said, I can only surmise that might be the case, but I just didn't see it in her conversation with Nia, and it made me wonder.
I think she's holding back on how bad things are.
Yeah, I think so. I think her presence there, and it doesn't seem like she wants to go anytime soon, speaks to that. And I thought, you know, it's always interesting to see the dynamics that she's the older sister who seems to have it all together, very prim and proper, very, you know, very, very discreet. But I think it's also interesting for her to be able to see how Nia is living and how she may not be married, but she seems to be at peace. She seems to be very happy with her career, with her friends, and with her life. And that may be good for her to see that even if the whole thing doesn't work out with him having a child, that, you know, she can find a way to be happy.
Right. And I think that's what it is. You know, it seems like what's her name? The sister Nina.
I think so.
The sister and the mother, they have these ideals, like, you know, you gotta be married, get at the job, this, that, and the other. And they were trying to, you know, force those ideals on Nia and basically make her feel like she was missing out, or not really, like she was like a bum because she wasn't doing these things. And when you go to Nia's house, Nia has her own home. She's happy in the job. She yoga. She's at peace. She has 2 suitors because Ben and Tristan were trying to push up on her. So you know, her sister saw for herself, like, hey, like my sister is cool, and here I am supposedly in an ideal situation, relationship. And I think that whole ideal was shattered for her.
Well, she's certainly hot on Ben. So, you know, she thought it was a very sexy move for him to step out on his own and do his own thing. So we'll see how that turns out.
And she hot on Tristan too.
Yeah. Well, I think this show is doing like a good job of kind of challenging the norms and challenging the expectations of past generations. Because as you can see, and I see it a lot of time in, you know, some of my younger friends and family, like it's a whole different mindset with that generation. And it's really all about like self-care and not allowing, you know, generational expectations to kind of force you into conformance with what people want from you. It's really about making sure that you're at peace with your lifestyle and your own decisions.
Which is
so I'm thing. Seeing that all over this show.
Yeah,
it's
a very good thing.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm looking forward to next week. I know this finale is going to be fire.
Yeah,
I really can't think of where it's going to go, and I kind of like that about this show, is that it's not predictable. So I feel like, I know I'm thinking of an I to B appearance, but I feel like we might also see Quintrell again, now that, you know, Marie has found out that he is not so available as he might come off.
Yeah, here we go again.
Or is he?
Or is he? You know, you're right. I mean, he's,
you know, he having a child, it don't mean he's with the child's mom.
Sounds like another show we are.
Right.
Sounds like another show she's on too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Does not mean that he's with the child's mother.
Yeah, wow. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I enjoyed this week's episode. To everyone who is viewing, thank you so much for watching. Please drop down in the comment section and let us know what you thought about this week's episode, and give us your predictions for the season finale as well. Make sure that you click the subscribe button for our channel, like this video, and also click the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we post. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. So give us a follow there, and make sure that you keep up with us, because we have a lot of good recaps. We're definitely going to be back here next week for the finale. And we have also recaps for Power Book 2 and Insecure, so you can check those out as well. Guys, got anything to add before we close out?
I think you said it all.
Okay, well, see you next week, same time, same place. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
But she's somebody else in the making. First, she just gotta stop all the faking, and she'll be there. But she's wondering if it's gonna feel like she's forever. Wondering if it's gonna feel like this whenever she leaves her safe space. She leaves her